All right, this is a little less common for us, but it's more common in the real world where you're gonna have to rekey something and you do have a key that works it. It could be your builder key. If your builder key works something, you can use this this process to rekey something too. But first step, this key was the one that we'd used or rekeyed this this deadbolt to a few minutes ago. And I'm going to take this apart using the little tools in the kit. So first step on the deadbolts to put this key in there, and you're going to like use it. It pushes down that little detent. You just push it in and untwist it. And you get that little part. This little detent and a little spring that I'm going to tap out right there. You can see it. So now I've taken that back tail off, and I'm going to take this cylinder out, but I'm going to leave the top pins and all the springs in there. And the way you do that is you take the key and you put it in and you turn it clockwise 90 degrees, so it's like sideways. And then you're going to take this follower plastic sleeve using the hollow end, and I put it right on here, and I'm going to push it straight through, and I'm going to make sure that I turned it clockwise 90 degrees. That means the pins are going to be sitting straight up on the key when I push this thing through. This plastic is going to hold the top pins and the springs in place so we don't lose all our stuff. So you just push it right through like that. And see how that is holding everything together, so I can set it down now. And this has all the pins in it. You can kind of see how it works. With the key in there, it's smooth. The pins aren't sagging down, and they're not sticking up. So they're just like perfectly smooth. They call that the shear line. You see where it's kind of drug and marred the cylinder. These little cutouts here are how the builder ball works. So this key, a homeowner key, when it's builder keyed, it's got higher cuts than our builder key. Our builder key has really deep cuts. So when the homeowner uses their key, it pushes these pins up, and then the little bearing that sits on top of these, when it gets turned, falls into one of these little holes and gets trapped. And that's the whole trick. It's only keyed to two combinations, the builder key, the homeowner key. So if we wanted to change this thing, we could just take out one. So this is a 5-3-1-2-1. So let's just say I'm going to knock out the one and make it a 5-3-1-2-6. I'm going to take a 6-pin. I'm going to drop it in here where that one was, and you can see that thing's sticking up because this is a 6-pin, and that key is cut to a 1 right there, and that's a 6. And you see how that would keep the lock from turning if that was inside that cylinder. So, but if I take the key out, everything sits down in there. I can actually, while I have it apart, I'm going to take that 6 out. I'm going to put the 1 back in it. And still flush. Now I'm going to take this 5 out, the one on the very end, the other end, and dump it out. And I'm going to put a 1 in its place. So this just shows you that if it's too deep of a cut, that top pin with a spring pressure is going to be pushing that top pin into this thing, and that's going to prevent you from unlocking the door. So if the pin, you know, this key's cut to a 5, that's a 1. So this thing wouldn't unlock if it's in there. When I took that 1 out and put a 6, you saw that it was sticking out. Now I did the opposite and I put a 1 in there where a 5 cut is, and it's recessed, and that top pin is going to be sticking down in there, and it's going to be keeping you from turning it, so it's going to lock it up. So I'm going to leave it like this just to show you that the key won't work it anymore. So when we put this back in there, that's going to keep it from turning. And I'm going to put it back together. This is straight up because you can see the plates on it. So I'm going to turn it 90 degrees so the pins don't fall out. And I'm just going to push that piece of plastic through the other way. And then I'm going to turn the key 90 degrees straight up so everything lines up. And you can like hear it click. Like now the key doesn't work. And when the key doesn't work, the cylinder's not going to fall out. If this key did work, you got to be careful. It's like a loaded gun at that point, because without all this stuff holding it on the back, that sucker could fall out. And that just, yeah, pisses you off if you're trying to rekey something in a hurry. But then to finish assembling, put the spring right back in the little hole. It drops all the way down in there. You put the detent, you put it flat side down in the hole on that little spring. Sticks way out like that. And then this thing, just going to screw right on top of it. Eventually it's going to catch, and I normally take your tool once it catches, tighten it down to where it's like, not like, you're not going to like ever crank on it and make it so tight, but it's tight. Like right now, even if the key did work, it wouldn't be able to turn it. It would be like, it would kind of suck. So I put it in there, make it so it's tight, and then I'm going to back it off just a little bit. So you can kind of see there's a little gap right there. Now, if this thing's too far backed off, that screws up the lock, and it will like eat your key, like, because the pins will shift around and they'll kind of grab the key and you won't be able to take the key out. So you don't want it too tight, you don't want it too loose. I normally tighten it down just where it's snug, and then I'll back it off just a little bit so you can see that little bit of play. But if you can like actually get a fingernail in there, that's too much and your key's going to get stuck, and you'll know it when you test it. Always test them after you key it, but this one doesn't work. This one doesn't work because I put a 1 pin where that 5 pin was, so that top pin's pushing down in that cut, keeping this thing from opening. So that should do it for this.